I'm Sarah Lacey,
And I'm Paul Carr.
and I'm supposed to be counting in my head silently.
Yeah,
Apparently.
I was like, and we're starting in three, and then I just stopped. Normally you would go 3, 2, and then.
Is that a new thing you guys do on NSFW Corp LIVE, all caps?
It is a thing we do on NSFW Corp, NSFW CORPLIVE, yes. Um, yeah, we spell everything out now, so if there are any 2-year-olds listening, they can't understand what we're saying.
Like Eli.
Yeah, we don't want him to know about Not Safe for Work Live in case he calls in. Hello?
Hiyo!
Hiyo! How are you, Sarah?
I'm tired. How are you?
I am fucking exhausted.
I know.
Shall we just stop the show here and instead just pass out?
Yeah. I took a nap this afternoon. I'm still tired though, but man, I think we both have went through the ringer last week.
It's been, I mean, within the confines of first world problems, before any prick in the comments decides to go, oh, well, at least you're not dying. This has been a hard couple of weeks.
I will say I have 2 children under 2, and I was alone with them last week, and running a company. So I feel like my problems even eclipse the first world at this point.
You have second world problems?
Yes. At least it's half world problems.
I have the worst version of first world problems. This is not having good Wi-Fi on a plane problems. Being an entrepreneur is hard, kids. If anyone watching this show wants entrepreneurial advice, my advice would be this. It's fucking hard. Don't do it. Let me be the one voice on PandoDaily that encourages you to get a real job. Go to school. Go work in Starbucks. Do anything apart from this. It's fucking horrible. So we can't really, neither of us can really talk in too much detail about the why we've had horrible weeks, but I think we can talk a bit about why we're having why there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Mm. Do you want to talk about your news? Don't cry, Sarah.
My eyes are stitching. No, I can't. I don't think there's any reason I can't talk about my week. It's just boring. It's just one of those things where it's like a million things. Like we had to.
The only reason I can't talk about my week is because it'll just be a list of me telling a list of people who can go fuck themselves.
No, we just had all this crazy stuff. Like we had to change our venue within 24 hours for our last event, and we're trying to hire some people, and it's just taking a while, and it's annoying, and I just I think it all stems from the fact that last year, we spent most of the year really, really focused on editorial, and this year we're spending it focused on the business side. And when I was quote unquote out on maternity leave, i.e. in the hospital, one day answering email, it was editorial totally functioned beautifully. I don't think readers even noticed that I was sort of part-time. April was by far our best month ever traffic wise, and but the business side was just kind of falling apart. So I just probably the next 3 to 6 months, I've just sort of come to the realization that I pretty much need to be a full-time CEO and let Adam keep sort of being the interim editor-in-chief, and then hopefully I can get some more balance after that. But it's frustrating because obviously I started this because I like the editorial side, but it's just the business. I mean, it's like everyone says, building a business is pretty fucking hard, turns out.
Like chewing on broken glass while staring into the mouth of the abyss or something.
I mean, I have to say, it's I think all of our problems are all good problems to have, but it's it doesn't mean they're not problems. I mean,
I'll be clear, none of my problems are good problems to have.
Okay, but
all of our problems are bad problems to have. They are problems.
Mine are all good problems to have.
Yeah. Yeah, you've definitely got,
we have more revenue, and we're trying to service that revenue. It's basically, and we're trying to build up a sales organization to meet incoming demand.
Right. Well, our problems, I'm going to write a bit about this, because let's put it this way, all of our problems will, this time next week, God willing, not be problems. So it's not like I'm kind of curled up into a ball crying. It's just been very, very difficult to get to the point we're now at.
Yours has been particularly a comedy of errors, it seems.
It's been a comedy of errors.
But as well.
Many of those errors not my
The
own.
errors.
For once, the comedy here is the fact that for once most of the errors are not my own. Some of them, yes. But I will write something on Pando in a couple of weeks about the last couple of weeks I've had. The long story short, though, is building a subscription based media company is hard, and to the point that I wrote on Pando a few weeks ago, in sort of response to Clay Shirky, we don't have a deep pocketed bankroller paying us to carry on doing what we do. We had our investment, and it was always going to be. I wrote about this a few weeks ago. We were on that last final stretch to get to profitability before we basically ran out of money, and it's been really tight and way harder than I thought. I thought it was going to be like in a movie tight, like you'll get out of it. But
this is what I feel like I've been saying to you for like the better part of a year. Like, I think that I don't think you do this anymore. He's been thoroughly beaten out of you. But I do think at the beginning, like, you ran the company based on the best case scenario. And it's like, well, yes, you should be optimistic as an entrepreneur. You would not do this. Like, you have to run the company not based on the worst case scenario, because then you don't invest in growth. And this is like kind of what I'm grappling with right now is like, every time I try to like tighten the belt too much, my board is like, well, we shouldn't just be optimizing to get to profitability. Like, this is like when things are taking off. Like, and they're right. And so it's like, you should sort of, run it based on sort of a medium case scenario. Like, this is what could happen, but this is what will likely happen.
Yeah.
But not, oh my God, this is what's absolutely going to happen and we're going to fail.
It's just getting that balance. I mean, it's exactly right, because for us, yeah, definitely the beginning, there was way too much like optimism of let's just go out the gate, all guns blazing, like hire the people we need to hire, do the things we need to do. I don't regret actually most of that, because we've got now an amazing team and we've got an amazing product. A degree of that couldn't have been done without that optimism, but definitely there is the flip to it where it's too much of that and not enough of. I've talked about this on the show before. I only started really paying laser sharp focus on our cash flow 6 months ago. Like, it was more. I was looking at our bank account every day, but cash flow. I couldn't have told you any given day what our burn rate was. 6 months ago, all that changed, and definitely like before we raised our last sort of mini round, I started laser focusing, and since then actually we've had a pretty tight handle on it. But obviously, having a tight handle on how much money you don't have is still not having the money. And it's definitely like I've been really good at knowing how fucked we were at any given day. But the truth is that now it's, and I wrote about this a few weeks ago, it's just this finish line race now between, and it has been for the last few weeks, of getting to, if not profitability, certainly a manageable burn rate. And like last month we were down to $8,000, which is great. But that was because we did the big conflict tower.
It's not. You should really be amortizing that over the year.
Exactly. So what I mean is, but just that 1 month, it was like, oh, if every month was like this, we'd be.
That's like saying we were profitable the first month we sold memberships.
I'm aware. That having been said, we actually are not that far away. We're down to around 10 to 15, really. Like we're going to do it again this month, next month. But it is just a question of keeping that going down while keeping our revenue going up. And it's again, I'll go into the details in a Pando post soon, but it's been really tight. And I'm now comfortable talking about it because God willing, knock on wood, we're going to be fine. But it's been really fucking close. And every single decision has been down to making sure we can still do the editorial we want to do, making sure we can still hire the people. I wrote a couple of weeks ago on Pando about healthcare, making sure we could do that, while at the same time making sure that in 6 months' time we still have a fucking company. So, and it hasn't been the fun kind of close. It has. That's the key. Is it hasn't been that like.
Oh, that's the thing though. It's like I always say. I think everyone glamorizes this stuff when it works out after the fact, and I'm always like, oh my God, I'll never do that. And I found myself doing it the other day. I was out at dinner with Anna, my night nurse, who went to New York with me and Evie for the last Pando Monthly.
Right.
And we were at Lure.
Love Lure.
And
I feel like there's a little ding, and like Brooke Hamilling's face should appear in the corner of the screen.
And Michael Ovitz.
Michael Ovitz, yeah.
I love the like, ding, I think it's like sort of like you're going to like the movie version of My New York. It's like, there's Mario Ruiz and there's Ovitz and there's Brooke.
Mario Ruiz playing a a famous person in this scenario.
No, I said my version. It's like
Yeah, no, I know. I just like
relative to
that's
me.
an odd Hollywood you have there. Because I think Ovitz is genuinely from Hollywood.
I didn't say Hollywood. I said New York.
Oh, I thought you said like a Hollywood version of a movie version of New York.
A
You said,
movie.
sorry. Starring Scott Baio as Mario Ruiz.
Anyway, so we went there for dinner and we had the cookie plate. It was fantastic.
Love the cookie plate. Ding.
Anyway, I was like, there's a bunch of shit not on the menu. I can't remember any of it.
The burger, the off-menu burger is really
But there's
good.
also like the lobster sliders or something. There's like something else we discovered.
I just know there's a law burger which has a load of shit on it, which is great.
Yeah. If anyone knows the stuff that's off the menu, you should leave it in the comments so I'll be able to refer back to that next time.
That's a fucking first world solution.
At any rate, this song came on that I like have never heard outside of when we used to do Zumba in my living room last summer. And I totally had this like wave of nostalgia.
Aww.
I came back to the table and I was telling, because I was in the ladies' room and I was telling Anna all about it. And I heard the words coming out of my mouth. Man, those were the glory days. After I personally have said over and over again, I would never say that about the first year of building a company. And I absolutely did it. There's something about that level of fear and uncertainty and like, you know, being like, oh, we have nothing. What is this? And like that anxiety that when you're on the other side of it with a positive outcome, for some stupid reason, you look back on it favorably.
Yeah, we're gonna look back at this video and go, oh, it wasn't that bad.
This is not as bad as it was for me last year.
No, this is my last year for you now. This now is my last year for you. Last year for you is my now here.
What are you saying?
It's memento.
This is my last year on Earth.
This now is my. I know it's turned into like a fucking emo song lyric. This now is my last year for you. Wake me up when September ends. You know what I mean. Fuck.
I don't think it is though. I think last year was your last year. I think you and I took different problems.
That's demonstrably true. But
I think you and I have different problems. I have the problem of we have a much higher burn rate, but we have more money in the bank.
Yeah, you do.
And so we're not worried about getting to profitability within the next 6 months.
Let me ask you this. Would you like to buy an iPhone? I've got a BuzzFeed coaster.
Well, you also have a lot of fancy podcasting equipment, by the way. Mr. Lower Burn Rate. Like, look at my studio, my living room with my laptop. Look at yours.
This is my equivalent of a Pando monthly set. Look at you with your fancy couches. Your amazing soundboard thing that Kim has. Look at you with your Emmy.
The chairs.
Look at you with your video production team, with your Emmys.
You know the amazing thing about our Emmys? I think we only spent like $12,000 in equipment all in because we don't have a studio. We just have like equipment and like some nice equipment, but like some like really ghetto equipment. And like, I mean, do you remember when we were building out TechCrunch TV, how much we spent on equipment?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Can I just tell you, by the way, for your Emmy, I could have bought 3 of this studio. It looks fancy, but you see that on the back? That's mattress padding from Walmart. It looks good, but it's actually just mattress pads.
It doesn't look good. Yeah. By the way...
See, you were the one who said fancy equipment.
Talking about that soundboard and
this
like
was
the
like
extra
$500. This is the most expensive thing. This was like
you and like Jason Calacanis were bragging about your microphones.
Yeah, I know that is true. That was about the most obvious imagery you could possibly imagine, as we're having a microphone off.
Can anyone break a hundy?
Never said that was. Yeah, at least I never said that. I'm very proud of our studio. It's great. Can I talk about something we're going to do on Tuesday?
Yeah, but I have something to talk about first.
Do you want to do your news first? That's what I was going to ask you. Do you want to do your news first, or?
I'll do my news first.
Okay. I want to lead up to your news because yours is bigger.
No, it's not. In fact, I actually was going to say it's not that big of a deal. And normally, like, I wouldn't even necessarily like announce it or talk about it because I don't think it's that big of a deal. But it's just in the interest of disclosure.
Okay.
We raised another small round of funding right before I gave birth. Right after.
I should have done a more surprise. Like if this was morning television, I'd be like, "Oh my hard. I know. Sorry. Congratulations.
Thank
Say
you.
publicly as I've said privately. Congratulations.
It's not a big deal.
It's a big deal. No, it's a big deal.
No, it was a couple $100,000.
Doesn't matter. It shows that people are really confident in the way Pando's going.
That's true.
I know how fucking hard it is to raise more money, and that's a big deal. That shows that people believe in Pando.
It does, indeed.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about it.
Okay.
Are you able to say who it's from?
Yes. That's why I'm bringing it up, because we always say who.
I know. I'm going to ask you so it looks like this is journalism rather than just a disclosure. Who is it from?
So, Lara Ventures.
Oh, yes.
And then Excel put more money in. Greylock put more money in. And Founders Fund put more money in. And
are any of these new investors?
So the only new investor was Redpoint.
Got it.
I'd actually, when I was raising money the first time, I went to Satish Dharmaraj, who's a partner at Redpoint, who's a really good friend of mine, and asked if he wanted to invest. And at the time, they did not. They got a big no.
Big fat no?
Big fat no. And then he told someone that it was his biggest regret of last year. And so I gave him another shot.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Well, it was nice of him. I mean,
It's nice of both of you.
Really his biggest regret.
You got rid of his big regret. Keeping him awake at night.
Being very generous.
He didn't have a lot of regrets last year, sounds like.
At any rate, it was good for a couple of reasons. We're considering this just sort of like the finishing off our seed round. So it wasn't very much money. And we just wanted to get, a bit more capital in the bank before we really needed it. We had enough to last us, sort of a year at that point. And we just, you should always raise money when you don't hugely need it. It gives an opportunity to convert the note so that everyone's actually an equity holder now. And there were some investors who wanted to put a little bit more money in, so it accommodated that.
Well, this is good news.
It was good news.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So I'm anticipating this will be the last venture capital we raise.
Interesting.
But we will see.
We will see. No, I mean, I think that is a big deal. I think it's great.
VCs on the board, there's still, everyone has, pretty small stakes.
I think it's good because I think again, it proves, there's a degree of confidence in Pando, which is unwavering. It's good. But also, it's what you said. I like that you're raising money when you don't need to. Because God knows I know how hard it is to do the other thing.
Well, and it's funny because someone did a study looking at Crunchbase and trying to say what companies were getting hit by the Series A crunch, and we were on the list. And I was like, and they just did it by looking at when someone raised seed funding and how long it had been, and if they had announced another round of funding. But at the time, I was like,
that doesn't make any sense.
Such a stupid methodology because, if we didn't have disclosure reasons, I would have never told anyone we raised more money. I just don't think it's particularly that newsy, nor is it anyone's business.
So wait, the study was if the length in time between you raising your seed round and whether you've done a Series A. Yeah. But what if you don't do a Series A?
Yeah, or what if you've started bringing in revenue, or you just didn't announce your extra seed round, or there could be a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
That are all positive.
That's a weird. That doesn't sound like you use the word methodology there as if there was some. That doesn't sound like a methodology. That sounds like an idiot.
It's stupid. It was clearly someone who just didn't understand how startups actually work.
Was this somebody from TechCrunch, or was this?
I don't remember, honestly. It was one of those things I saw, and I was like, wow, I should write something about why that's so flawed. And then I thought,
nah.
Anyone with a brain probably can see through that. But I thought it was funny that we were on that list, and it was at the time when we had already had commitments and frankly could have raised more money if we wanted. Right. And it was
fair enough.
Anyway, so we've not been crunched, in case anyone's worried.
I was very worried. I certainly read that report, as I do. I read every bullshit report on the internet.
News coming off Crunchbase.
I saw the Business Insider slideshow version of it, and I was very concerned. Did you see Henry Blodgett the other day? I'm going to talk about my news in a segment. Henry Blodgett the other day did one of the most. I know. You and I slightly disagree.
Before you say anything else, I can one-up this story with something stupider that someone in the blogosphere did. I guarantee
Is it
you.
Nicholas Carlson?
I'm just saying, I guarantee it. Do you doubt me before we go on?
Is this something that you know, or you're just going to pull something from your mind?
Oh, no. So you're going to say something that I have no idea what it is about Henry Blodgett, and I'm guaranteeing you the story that I have is even stupider.
That's very possible. The
Okay.
reason this is stupid is because Henry Blodgett should know better. There are many things that I think are dumb about
Mine is just dumb.
Hold on. There are many things... Oh. I may know what your thing is as well. Because it might be the thing that I screamed, "What the fuck?" at the screen earlier. Let's get... I genuinely, this isn't set up, so we'll see. I want to write on a piece of paper in case... I may be wrong. I'm never good at that game. But anyway, I'm going to write it on my phone. And then we'll see, because I don't have a pen. So, here's my thing. So Henry Blodgett wrote a post the other day saying, "Sorry, journalists. Sorry, journalists. America doesn't care about the AP phone, the government claiming the AP phone records." And he writes this piece saying, a Pew study has shown that America doesn't give a fuck about the fact that the government subpoenaed the AP phone records. Mm-hmm. And as evidence, so he had this study. And he's basically saying, we journalists might think that everyone gives a damn about press freedom and about, but it's really just journalistic whining. Because Pew has done this study, and they asked regular Americans, how much do you care about the following stories? Benghazi was one, the IRS looking more carefully into Tea Party groups was one, and the other was the AP subpoenas. And he said, no one gives a fuck, because only, I think it was like 20%, maybe a little bit more, maybe a tiny bit less, 20% of Americans said that they were following that story very closely. Mm-hmm. And because only 20% of Americans said they were following that story very closely, Henry Blodgett took from that no one gave a fuck. Now, here's the problem. First of all, very closely. If I say I'm not
following it very closely.
I'm not following many stories very closely, but that doesn't mean I don't give a shit. Not giving a shit means I'm following not at all, which, by the way, was even smaller numbers. Very closely or fairly closely was something like 35%. If you then look at the study, it actually then compares it to, for example, at the same period in the Monica Lewinsky scandal, how many people were following it very closely. And it was basically the same amount. Mm-hmm. So this story is as important to Americans, or as interesting to Americans, as the Monica Lewinsky scandal. From that, Henry Blodgett takes that people don't give a fuck. Like, I know he needs headlines. I get that. And I know he's all about headlines. But usually Blodgett, he isn't Nicholas Carlson. So usually Blodgett actually will take facts and then put a spin on them to make them more readable. You will never guess what, blah, blah, blah. To just take a study and reverse it in order to, take another swipe at real journalists is just fucking... It made me so mad. And the only problem is, I know now what your story is. The story that you're going to tell me is worse, and you're right, it is more egregious and dumb. But I did want to get the Blodgett thing out there.
Did you know what mine is?
I don't want to guess, because if I'm wrong, I don't want to talk about this if I don't have to.
Oh, well, it's got to be the same thing. Is it Valleywag?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I mean, of all the companies...
Of all the companies! Like, do you even read the thing that you're being snarky about, you fucking smug-faced dick? Really?
It's like you couldn't script an idiot gossip blogger better.
I mean, explain the story.
I mean, look, all 6 people who watch the show know full well that you have been on
I'm not an Uber fan.
A ridiculous jihad against Uber.
Not a big fan.
Let's count down all the things.
I called Travis Kalanick a randroid. I called him a dick. I wrote 5 posts about how horrible they are.
Before that, Nathaniel did the first negative post on them about New York.
Correct.
And then you did your just eviscerating 4,000 word takedown. You did 4 follow-up posts to that, calling out their investors, who, by the way, are also our
investors.
investors.
Called out Shervin by name.
Who's also one of our investors, by the way.
Yep.
For those who say we only write nice things about them. Just over and over again. To the point where everyone was like, seriously.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's getting old.
Yeah.
then when we did the Panda Monthly with Chris Sacca, we had like a 40-minute argument on stage about it. When we just shot that LA Supper Club last week, you and Jason got in another fight about it. Got in another fight about it on his show.
And so
referenced it how many times? Hamish wrote something about Travis changing surge pricing and him going to talk to him backstage and saying, "I will never talk to your blog." And yet
he can pick from anything.
He
can pick from any company. So Valleywag apparently, I
mean, there's a lot of other companies we've been negative on, but we've on the whole been balanced. But Uber is not one.
I know everyone says this, but I genuinely don't read Valleywag. But I do every so often.
I've seen the story. I just saw it on our Yammer, and I just thought
exactly. I was going to say, but I do every so often check into Yammer, and one of the somebody will occasionally say, "Have you seen how ridiculous this is?" So I click on it, and what do I see? The guy I can't remember, Sam, whatever his fucking name is, the Valleywag guy. He is trying to make a point that. It's about the narcissist thing.
They've just started. Like, Denton wanted to start this thread that everything we write is really positive, which it's really not, particularly compared to other tech blogs.
For people,
and it doesn't matter that that's not the case. They just keep hammering this.
Well, so the problem you've got is the guy who runs Valleywag, no one had heard of until he got the job as Valleywag. In fact, I heard his name because somebody said, "Oh yeah, it's this guy," and I emailed him and asked, and he said he didn't know if he was going to be Valleywag. So I basically scooped him on his own job. That's how bad this guy is. That's how unconnected this guy is in the Valley. I knew he had the job before he did. That was the first and last time I ever contacted him. I think he was at one of Brooke's dinners. That's the only time I ever met him.
The only thing I heard about him was someone like very close to Gawker Media. He asked advice if he should do it, and the guy said, "Well, if you're not going to," he's like, "But I'm not going to leave New York." And the guy was like, "Oh, well, you absolutely should not do it. You will not write anything remotely intelligent, and no one will take you seriously if you're not in the Valley."
And sure enough. So, look...
I think he would actually read a blog he was trying to take down.
It seems to me that... Okay, and look, no, the whole point of Valleywag is, let's be honest, the reason it's come back is Gawker wants to play... There's a big market in New York, which is what it's for, and potentially the rest of America, for saying, these people are so out of touch in Silicon Valley, they're so rich. It's the Occupy thing. They realized that... Gawker realized that being mean to rich people gets a huge response. And being mean to rich tech people... When your audience is mainly New York-based old media people who are losing their job, you are never going to run out of clicks. Like, everybody wants...
The first time they did Valleywag.
Right, but the trouble with the first time they did Valleywag is they actually tried to do it legit. No, this time, the only thing you need to do to run Valleywag now is say, this person is rich, what a dick. And so they've picked Pando, I assume...
Well, they have been making fun of a lot of other blogs.
No, I know.
But, they're even singling us out.
No, I get that. But they've taken... For the purposes of this story, they picked Pando because, well, Pando has investors. He isn't smart enough to understand that so does Business Insider, so does Gig at Home, so does every other fucking blog. And by the way, TechCrunch is owned by AOL. He doesn't know that.
Right.
But he's heard this meme of, and he heard it because Denton tweeted at you about it. So he's heard this meme of Pando has...
What else they can say about us.
Right. So Pando has investors. So he then says, okay, Pando has investors. Let's read everything on Pando and see if they...
It's not. No, he doesn't read everything.
No, so the meme should be
40 stories.
You're right.
You're right. On Uber. He actually hasn't read anything, clearly.
The meme should be, let's read everything on Pando and find stories where Pando has been nice about companies that share investors with Pando. That story somehow is a thing. That's not hard to do. A monkey could do that. You just read everything and you match it with Crunchbase or whatever. You see if the investor... So he tries to do this... Hang on. So he tries to do this the other day.
Odds are.
So he tries to do this... Right, you have a lot of investors. This shouldn't be hard. You could throw a brick and hit... Right. So he tries to do this the other day. He tries to make this point that Pando is doing this. And he picks as his company, for example, the company that he says, and I've forgotten the wording because I read it and then yelled and shut the window.
Like a vacuum of negativity.
Pando is so...
It makes sense.
Gets so excited and overexcited about how great Uber is. And it's like, he bats his eyelids or some fucking shit about how swoony Pando gets about Uber. And he says...
Every time.
Of every company. You could have picked any company. And you dipshit. You fucking... useless dipshit! You picked the one! The only company that is the exact opposite of the point you're trying to make.
And in fact, to the point where anytime anyone has ever come to me and said, "Oh, well, I've read there's this conflict thing," I've always pointed out that we share investors with Uber. I mean, there's about 10 of these things that I point out, but like that's always the shorthand because everyone knows we have like had major issues with them.
But the guy I just looked at my thing. So Sam Biddle is the name of the guy. I emailed because he wants when Denton was doing that whole thing with you of like the trying to build up the hype about Valleywag. He tweeted something about me being a shill.
Yeah.
And that was why I emailed him. I didn't email him to ask him if he got the job. I emailed him because of that. And I emailed him and said, that's a hell of an accusation to accuse me of shilling for startups. Given that, what I do, that's a hell of an accusation. Where are you getting that from?
You also don't write product stories, so
or anything positive ever. So I said, where do you get that from? And his response, and I still have it, and I'll publish it one day, his response was, oh, that was just a hunch. That's it? You just decided I was corrupt? You decided? Oh, well, if it was just a hunch, then publish away. The fuck? He was also, by the way, the guy who published a thing saying that Zach Braff, like, it's ridiculous that Zach Braff was raising money via Kickstarter to do whatever bullshit movie he's doing, because rich people shouldn't use Kickstarter. When they already have money, they shouldn't do it. This week, Gawker launched a Kickstarter, or launched an Indiegogo thing, to ask its readers to pay 20 grand because they wanted to buy a video of some mayor in Toronto smoking crack. And Gawker didn't want to use its own money, so they did a Kickstarter. And you're just like, you're just on the wrong side of everything.
I know, he's such an idiot.
Man. You have to tell the team to stop posting Valleywag on Yammer, because I just blindly click on that shit.
The funny thing is, so there's 2 people on the team who read it, and they kept bringing it up, and I kept being like, no one is reading this. Yeah. No one gives a shit. It's so bad even for the history of Valleywag at this point. And I'm like, just don't even like, we shouldn't be wasting 30 seconds to think about this. And so it was brilliant because I think it was like everyone on my team was like, okay, yeah, this is officially total.
When will Pando stop fawning over Uber? When?
When will it start? That would be probably.
That's pretty much what Uber and Sherman and everyone are thinking is, didn't we invest for a reason? Apparently not.
I just want to send the like brutal 45-minute part of the Pando Monthly with Sokka where
I mean, you've got to almost be glad that they've
got to be like 10,000 words of like, not just bringing up harsh points about them, which we have, but like you basically calling them like sociopaths and everything that's wrong with Silicon Valley. I mean, it's like you could not be harsher.
It's just a hunch, Sarah. All right. So I've got something to announce.
It does almost seem like a parody. You know how like every once in a while things like that happen and you just think, this has got to be some like Sacha Baron Cohen version of reality because no one is that stupid. No one would be that stupid to pick the one company we have just eviscerated constantly.
Why won't we stop being nice about Mike and Crunch Fund? When will that stop?
I know. Well,
when will I stop fawning over Eric Schoenfeld?
There were people who were like, oh, she's so like, yeah, of course she's defending Mike because I think, in fact, Gawker wrote that. She's not saying anything. Because Mike,
you guys are such pals.
It's like, yeah, Mike and I are best friends. That's exactly why.
You've got to stop fawning over them. We've just got to stop fawning over TechCrunch generally.
Mm-hmm. And Valleywag.
Is Sam Biddle an investor? Because we've said some pretty nice stuff about him on this show.
It is just brilliant.
You even think Denton occasionally must just go...
And I have to say, like, it's not that I expect that he would have read everything on our site or even be that familiar with it. But if you're gonna publish something, saying that we do it.
Like... Just check. Just sanity check. What I find interesting, though, is there are a couple of people there, Adrian Chen being one, Natasha...
It would have taken 30 seconds.
Well, so Adrian Chen and Adrian and Natasha, and there are a couple of people at Gawker where we can argue that by dint of being at Gawker, they are awful. But... who at least are aware of these things. I find it interesting that no one else said to him, Sam, great post, fantastic post, one of your best. One thing I would say, that bit where you say that Pando fawns over Uber, you're going to want to take a look at this, and this, and this, and this, and this. You idiot. Because you just make yourself look like you've never actually read the thing you're criticizing. It makes you a dick. Anyway.
That's amazing.
I look forward to the post based on this video, by the way, when it gets really meta.
I won't actually see it since I still don't read
I'm sure somebody will put it in Yammer.
I think my team has now stopped reading it. I think that was the coup de grace.
Can I announce my exciting news now?
Yeah.
It's not exciting news. It's something we're doing. It's and actually, I actually want a favor from you that I haven't asked you yet. Genuinely haven't asked you yet. This is like a surprise. So to my point earlier about revenues and about like wanting to
going out of business,
not go out of business. We've been trying all these different things. We've tried, and I'd say tried all these different things as if none of them have worked. But the opposite is true. We did the subscriptions, and that's working. That's working really well.
It's all worked.
Huh? You being mean?
No, you said the opposite is true, and so I said you've tried nothing and it's all worked.
Precisely. Subscriptions are working great. The Conflict Tower was fucking amazing. I thought that wouldn't do anything, and we've done nearly $60,000 in the tower, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
People buying little virtual windows. But you mentioned our expensive podcasting equipment. We've started doing the show every night now, and it's really this month we've already had way more traffic than we did, and it's not even anywhere near the end of the month. We've already had way more listens than we did the entirety of the previous month. In fact, if we keep going the way we're going, this month may actually be bigger than all of our previous months. Like, the show is really exploding. We started doing call-ins the other day. But one of the things with the show is we've never really been able to figure out how it helps us. And also, like, there's no, like, you don't pay for it, it's free, obviously, and it does drive probably some subscriptions, but I kind of felt like we weren't really utilizing it as well as we should. And all of these ideas were sort of floating around. And then the other week we were sort of sitting around thinking, what other things can we do to encourage people to buy Conflict Tower, to encourage people to buy subscriptions? And we had this sort of silly idea that has now grown into a big idea, which is that we should do like NPR does. We should do like a pledge drive. And we should do a show, like a long show, that we have special guests who we don't normally have on. We have like really fun features. We do stupid shit. And we, during the show, encourage people to subscribe, encourage them to buy tower rooms, give them a shout out on air if they do it. And it started out as a joke and now has grown into a thing we're actually going to do. But the thing we came up with was the idea of tying the length of the show to the amount that people pay during the show. So let me explain what that means. So the show is going to be an hour. The show is going to start out an hour long, which is our normal length. It's going to start on Tuesday at noon and go for an hour. During the first hour, we're going to be talking about the Conflict Tower a bit. We're going to be talking about subscriptions. We're going to be talking about what we're planning to do later in the show if it keeps going. And basically, for every $10 that we bring in through subscriptions, through the tower, through whatever else, we have other things that you'll be able to pay for. We will add a minute onto the show.
So it's the opposite of a telethon.
Precisely.
Where they're trying to get you to shut up.
It's precisely the opposite of a telethon. It's basically people trying to get us to go mad by not stopping. But also, it's a way of, if people aren't interested, us just shutting up. So basically, the maths is if somebody buys a subscription, if we sell just 2 subscriptions in the first hour, we're going for like 61 minutes, and that's the end. If somebody buys one of the top floor tower rooms in the first hour, that adds almost 3 hours onto the show. If we sell if we sell as many units in the tower as we did in the first day of when we first opened the tower, if we sell the same monetary amount, we're going to add about 15 hours onto the show. No, 10 hours onto the show. The show could get very, very long, or it could be embarrassingly short. It's kind of impossible to know. And we've got all this stuff lined up, all these guests lined up, all these sort of features lined up for if the show goes longer. So Zubin, Z-Dog MD.
Yeah.
So Zubin and Lee Cowart are going to do a sex and science and medical call-in show where they just talk about... Lee's done an amazing study that you'll be able to read about in the print edition. She's going to preview some of that and get people to call in. That's going to be like hour 3 if we get that far. We've got all these bizarre guests that people won't believe we managed to get. We've got music and stuff. If we get that far, I want the show to go. For about 12 hours because that means we've made about $8,000, which was our shortfall last month. I think that's just an arbitrary number, but I'd like it to go that long. Anything less than that, and I'll be sad. Anything more than that, and it's hilarious. So that starts at noon on Tuesday. We were going to do it yet tomorrow, but then I remembered it's Labor Day because I'm not American. I'm not Labor Day, Memorial Day. I'm sorry, and I kind of forgot. So it's actually noon on Tuesday. We have snacks and Red Bull, so we're in for the long haul.
The readers.
Huh?
That doesn't help any of the readers.
You know what? If somebody pays $10, I'll send them a Red Bull. You know what we also have? I don't have it in here. David Figler's written a piece for the print edition this month about the owner of the rights of Deep Throat, the movie, and they've licensed it as an energy drink called Deep Throat. We actually have cans of that in the office, so we haven't opened it. We're scared.
I'd say, like, I've been watching. Jeff, my husband, is the designer for your print edition,
Yes,
and like I've been watching over his shoulder since I've only seen him for 24 hours a month, laying out your magazine, and I'm not reading this issue.
This month
I'm really grossed out by this month.
This month is a slightly gross issue. This issue is definitely a.
Jeff said it's the first issue he's going to read, so it all balances out.
This issue is a very adult-themed issue. It's also really fucking funny. I have to say, it's really fucking funny.
You say that a lot.
People seem to like it. Anyway, so here's what I want.
Yet, how do you know if people will like it?
I know some of our readers. I've got a sense of it. I'm the editor of the magazine. What am I going to say? No, this is a disappointing issue. You shouldn't read this one. This one's fucking funny.
You say people seem to like it when it's not out yet.
Oh no, well, people have read the story around here, and it's fucking funny. Let me tell you that.
People in your staff like it.
So here's what I want from you, Sarah. So during the telethon, if the show goes more than a certain amount of time, I think it would be fun if for like 15 minutes to half an hour we did a live Why Isn't This News on the show.
Who would that be fun for?
That would be fun for me and Craig Butters and you.
What about Ross Williams?
And Ross Williams. I apologise, Ross. And all of the people who are now commenting that we forgot to mention them. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to do. I think we could talk for half an hour about big stories in tech. So it's not quite like Why Isn't This News?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as I don't have like a crying child at that moment.
We can schedule it whenever.
Reporters.
We can schedule it whenever. You'll just need to be on Skype and it'll be audio only. So
is this tomorrow or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
I'm going to All Things D.
You can do it from there. You can report live from All Things D.
Okay, we got to coordinate it.
You just have to call in. It's fine. It's not. You don't have to sit on video. It's only audio. So.
Oh, okay.
So you can just call in.
We'll figure it out.
You can be our live on the ground All Things D reporter.
Can I tell you how excited I am about All Things D this year?
Cara Swisher told me to join the. She encouraged me to go.
You with the broken record on this.
She encouraged me to go, and she said you should sign up and blah blah blah. And then that's the last I heard. I'm not cool enough for All Things D. I have to wait for All Things E.
I browbeat my way into things.
I have to wait for All Things F.
I'm really, really excited about it. I feel like I'm going to be running around saying, adults who don't work for me.
Who is speaking this year?
I don't know. I don't care. I think Elon is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good.
You get to see him.
I assume Barry Diller, he's usually there.
Not usually.
He's like the Marissa Mayer of that event at TechCrunch. Like the way Marissa's always at Disrupt, Barry Diller seems to be always at D.
I've seen him there once.
It's all things Barry Diller.
Oh my god. Sheryl Sandberg is speaking.
Oh, that's good.
Lean
forward.
Hopefully someone else I don't know.
Yeah.
The Pinterest guy, who we were talking about doing for a Pando Monthly. I guess he decided to do D instead.
Cannot remember his name. What's his name?
Ben Silverman.
Ah. I didn't realize. I mean, this sounds bitchy, and it don't mean it to be. I'd forgotten about Pinterest.
Yeah, it's. I tend to do that as well.
I guess we're not the audience.
Yeah, clearly.
I haven't pinned anything.
Clearly.
So I look forward to reading. I assume you're going to be writing about it.
The lineup is always great. Yeah, I'm going to write something. I'm sure. I mean, a couple of things. The lineup's always great, but better than the lineup really is just the audience. I mean, it's like everyone in Silicon Valley who you never get to see normally, like in one place, contained.
Great.
So I'm really excited.
And a pen. I look forward to hearing about it.
It's going to be like
allowed to go. I look forward to hearing about it.
It's going to be like the good old days before I had 2 children and a company and talk to people.
You'll look back on those days fondly. Remember?
I do look back on those days fondly.
Okay. So you'll call in on Tuesday.
Yes.
Good.
There's always an evening thing, and I as long as it doesn't conflict with that.
It starts at noon, so we'll get you early.
That'd be great if I could do it before I get on the plane. But
what time do you get on the plane?
I think maybe 1.
Maybe we'll get you early.
Well, I can do it when I land. We'll figure it
We'll
out.
figure it out.
Carney's picking me up at the airport.
Perfect. You can do it from the car. It's fine.
And Carney's going to work the lobby.
He is a born schmoozer. Born to schmooze. All right, I gotta go and eat some turkey.
Okay, are you ever going to come to another Pando Monthly?
No, never. Of course I am. No, I'm really annoyed I didn't get
I've had no introduction.
Sorry?
I said no introduction.
People have been like, who's this chick? Seems familiar, but without a guy in a hoodie, I don't know. I will.
Last time.
I'm really disappointed I didn't get to come to the last one or the one before because of my hellish month. And when I write about why I've had such a hellish month,
my team keep being like, "Is Paul going to be there?" I'm like, I don't think so.
Not the week he's having. But when I write about it, I will explain that. And one of my regrets for the last couple of weeks will be the fact I missed 2 Pando monthlies. No, I'd missed one because I was on a transatlantic flight. But apart from that, I hadn't missed any. And I'm really annoyed that I had to miss 2 more.
No, you had missed the Ben Horowitz one.
That was the one I missed.
Oh.
I was on a transatlantic flight.
It's a grand total of 3 now. No, you missed the Adam Pennenberg one. You missed 4.
Oh, fuck. I did miss the Adam Pennenberg. I've missed 3 Sarah Lacey ones now. And 1 Adam Pennenberg. I haven't seen the video of Pennenberg's. Is it up?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I should go back and watch that.
Speaking of, Adam Pennenberg came to life.
Yeah, his thing about dystopian futures was amazing.
I keep thinking about it.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
It's
really
done
good.
insane. I told him, I was like, you just like raise the bar for like what everyone expects every post.
Yeah.
Do.
I know, everything's got to be that good now. Not just from him, but from everybody.
I tweeted this earlier, and because it occurred to me when I sent Adam that note. I don't think I've ever given a compliment to anyone on my team where they didn't either publicly or privately respond by giving a shout out to someone else in the team.
Yeah.
Like he was like every time I've like complimented you and like particularly that Uber story, like you complimented I think like Hallie and like Nathan or whatever.
No one would have read it without Hallie's art or your and Nathan's edit.
And then Adam was like, oh, well, Nathan did a really great job editing it with me. And like, it's like, I literally, like, I don't think there's anything where someone doesn't also like thank someone. Like that's just
a sign of a good team.
That's not like normal newsrooms, you know?
No, that's the sign of a really good team.
I think so. I love the team. I'm very, very happy. I'm very impressed with how much everyone's like stepped up over the last 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. No, I have to say, I would be way more stressed right now if my team wasn't so great. Like I've with a few like glitches and whatever else, like our team has just been fucking incredible in the last few weeks.
There's literally only one person I want to fire right now, maybe 2 tops.
Is that all? That's yeah, that's about right. There should always be
kidding.
There should always be a couple. I want to fire that guy. Yeah. No, my team is fucking great right now. Yours is doing amazing.
I'm kidding. Am I?
Keep on their toes, Sarah. It's a great way to manage. You should fire that guy who's so fucking gushing over Uber all the time. That guy's fucking full of shit. All right, let's wrap it up.
Right. I need a post for tomorrow, so can you start this uploading tonight, please?
Yeah, can I write the post?
Yeah, but just then I have to do another post.
Oh,
you can do it. That's fine.
Because if I do the post on this, I get to say nice things about my telethon rather than sarcastic. Because you know I'm going to say nice things about your fundraising, so it'll be a nicer post if I write it.
All right, I'll write something else. But
I have something else I'm going to write.
It has to go up tomorrow because we have a holiday schedule.
I'm going to put it up tonight. Well, I'll upload it tonight. And then I have one other thing I'm going to write this week as well, after Thursday.
Believe it when I see it.
Believe it, Sarah. All right, have fun at D. And join us next week. Maybe next week.
Couple weeks.
Well, no, join us live on Tuesday for a very small version of Why Isn't This News?